We good? KiwiRail.
Sure. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's been a little while since we all met here collectively. So look, and I had the privilege of being at the Wellington Regional Regional Transport Committee meeting yesterday. Got the process. I was busy.
So talk about services and trains and general problems with
you can't talk.
timeliness and so forth.
Yeah, you can't talk transport
No.
without trains coming up. And of course, we had the combined council meeting where we had Transdev, KiwiRail, Metlink, and regional council all at the head of the table together. And clearly, but the all work is quite separate.
Quite separate.
And it's really good to have you here to get an
Great.
update. Everybody's very acutely aware of the road teams. The teams are out there working. We all watch with interest. Sometimes we drive up to the roadblock just to see what they're doing, not necessarily because we think we can go through. And some of the progress has been quite impressive. Some were sort of puzzling, but I guess there's a schedule between they work one side, get it to a point, and then come back to it to finish off the next stage. But no doubt you're going to be telling us all about it. But
Right.
we're a long ways from the public meeting, and we're in a far better space for it. So
Perfect.
the floor is mystically.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we've met before. I'm Diane Livingston. I'm the comms and engagement person for KiwiRail and for this project around the Wellington Metro upgrade program. And this is David.
Carry on.
David's project manager, was actually in charge of the tunnel project, which was really successful, and the complete renewal of the Rimataka tunnel area this year. So he knows what he's doing, which is good. Last time we had Andy here, and I'm sorry we don't have Andy. He's just not well right now. So rather than kind of delay, we thought it'd be better that we just come over and just gave you a bit of an update. So we shall crack in, shall we? It's we just have just a really quick recap. You know all of this, so let's not spend any time on this, but we've got a lot going on. We've got this big investment. We are looking forward to the arrival of the new trains and getting the infrastructure in good shape for that. On the tunnel work, we're up to number 18, or well, I'll get to that in a minute actually.
Yeah.
But we're making really good progress, and we're just working really hard to manage the disruption. So we understand that we are, digging up streets and closing roads, but we are just trying to get the work done as quickly and as efficiently as possible, not to be too much of a pain. Next, number 2. And you know this also, we are up to number 18 of the 30 level crossings that we are upgrading on the Wairarapa line. So progress is actually going really well. And we are closing 4 of those 30. We are doing Brandon and Fox and Featherston. We start them later this year, and I think they're both later this year actually. And Victoria and Roads in your town, we are coming to soon, which we will get to in a minute. And all of the level crossings are being brought up to today's spec, given that we're getting faster and more frequent services on the line. They need to be looked at from a safety point of view. So they are all getting the barrier arms, lights and bars, pedestrian gates, and all of the cables being laid now, which will carry all of the wiring and services to make them live in 2027. So civil works right now, getting well through it, and it all goes live, ready for the new trains by 2027 and the new trains 2029. And now we get to your place. There we go. So we have finished at Kent Street and Brooklyn Road. So we can talk about these things if you'd like. Brooklyn Road is fully done. The footpath is joined up. It's looking good. People are using it, I'm told. There was some waterworks going on there, but I think they might have all finished as well. No, it's still going on? Yep, okay. So, but from our point of view, we are done and dusted there with the civil works, and then there's just the coming back to make it go live in 2027 with the cabling, as I spoke about. Kent Street also finished. Do we want to stop there or do you want to talk about it?
Pedestrian crossing upgrade, the council approved. So we took the pedestrian crossing, the footpath down to rail crossing, and then council approved the additional capital funding for that pedestrian crossing to continue on to the side of.
Yeah, I'm good.
Question about King Street. When you drive over it, it's like you're going on like a roller coaster ride. You kind of fly off one side. It's quite a steep drop. Did you guys notice that? And is there a plan?
This was your comment also?
Yeah, so I sent an email
Okay.
about it, and I did get a reply back saying it's not part of KiwiRail's to adjust the road, but I feel like you mentioned the asphalt. There has been a secondary layer of asphalt put on top of the existing asphalt, which I feel has created that
Okay,
extra hump.
yeah.
For me personally, I think it should have had that
Okay.
ramp up to the line should have been continued.
Is there something so,
I go over it every day and it's like flying off the top of the.
Yeah, it's really bad.
all right. So, being constant engagement, I don't know what to say about any of those things, but what I can do is I can talk to Leon. So I did talk with Leon about it. This is what is said about the situation, but if it's an ongoing concern, why don't I ask him to have another look and have a chat? That's probably the best thing to do. Do you think?
That would be great.
That'd be helpful? Okay, let's do that. Okay, no worries. All right, that's those two crossings. And then we have, where we're up to now,
There will be the closure of
where's the next slide?
Victoria.
Here we go.
Working on.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the moment we're working on Belvedere. So that's going to go towards the end of July. That once we will shift to Victoria Street probably just to do it for 10 days, and a week and a half, 10 days, just to connect both sides of the cables on each crossing. And from that point, we will just go to Pembroke. So, well, we don't want to do too many crossing at one time, so it's why we'll just go to Pembroke Crossing, which will continue until November 2025. And yeah, we've got borders as well, which is the temp closure before the full closure at the end of the year, November. Then the next slide.
Do you have any questions about these closures, about these works?
That means today, this is not, it's kind of exciting, but we've got Brooklands closed, Victoria's closed, and Belvedere's closed.
Booking is open.
No, for council stuff, it's closed, I think.
Because we're doing waterworks.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's why we could not jump on another one at the time, because we worked and they were like, we realized that there was already a lot of closure, and so we delayed our work for that part. Yeah.
Just around the actual closures, are you providing ongoing communication to residents just around the timeline?
We are.
Correct, yeah. Right.
We are working with Sarah and the team, and we're doing letter drops and just keeping on talking. Yeah, no, we are. I believe we are.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
All righty, hold your time.
So why is roads temporary closure? You get shut it.
Yeah, it's just to not to close in one go, and just to allow the CSR, which is the cable route, to continue. So if we wait until the end, it's just create a little bit of delay. And I think it's just, the approach that we had, it was just, we're going to temporarily close it, get you a feel for it, and come back later on just to fully close it. But yeah, it's just to be able to continue this connection in between each part of the crossing. It's only a week and a half, but yeah.
And what is the permanent closure actually going to look like?
Should we talk about that here?
Victoria Street.
Yeah.
This is just a 3D model from the design. You look State Highway 2, it's south, I guess. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just going to be line marking just to say that the road is closed ahead and the turning bay for any services that are required. The crossing itself will always be available for pedestrian. As you can see, there's no entrance to any property in Victoria from the point that you can see the two signs to the level crossing. So at the moment, the design is to to keep all this road empty, but we could also look at bringing the turnover right to the close to the crossing, like we are doing at Rhodes, that you will see next slide.
Sorry, what distance is it from the first sign to the crossing?
I don't know, sorry. Okay.
Several metres?
Yes.
But there's no driveway accesses
No, it's why, yeah.
beyond the
There's the
current close, the
Correct, yeah.
proposed closure.
Yeah, correct. So I think it's, yeah, that's the way that Rhodes will look like. Because you can, on the left and the right hand side, you can see where the red car is. There's actually driveway.
That's better,
Yes,
better visual, yeah,
yes.
roads.
And those are the dates. The first one was 15 September, for
Correct, yeah.
Victoria. And then this one is 17 November for Rhodes. And that's our story pretty much about that. David, you've had some feedback about some of the things going on.
We catch up with the team last week, and I think some feedback from the contractor on the ground. They were actually really pleased with the people interacting with them. So there was some very good feedback from that, and I think from the team, our team, checking every week just to make sure that the traffic management is set up correctly. So there was some great feedback as well from the local traffic management, and they just passed the thanks to you guys for allowing the full closure and not just working on one line, because they would have delayed the work even further. So I think it's thank you for that.
One more. One more slide.
I think it's just what we are doing, like Diane was saying, the
Yeah.
emails.
Yeah.
The level drop to the residents, so 2 to 3 weeks ahead of any closure, we work together and just drop those letters. And we've got an article on the Carterton Inquirer coming through.
It's a real pleasure working with Sarah Marcus.
Yeah.
We had a great little barbecue event. It's nice seeing some of you there and lots of people, and a very long queue to the milkshake making person, a very, very, very long queue. And we thought there's something around the Daffodil Festival, which will be just in front of the closure of Victoria Street. So it would be really nice to do something similar, be part of that. We're just trying to be really proactive and keep everyone informed the best that we can. I feel like we're going okay. And there's a bit of a process in regard to the closures as well, but Sarah and I are talking about that. There's a bit of a formal process. So we'll do the normal things to make sure people just know what's going on, but we'll follow the actual, what you have to do in terms of notifying people when there's a closure of a road. So that is us.
Questions from the floor?
Robin, would you mind going back to the slide that shows that one. So that will be very similar to what Victoria Street will look like. They'll be pretty well.
Now, Victoria will look different. So on these streets, you've got footpath on both sides. It's why, so we've got the curb connecting together, and because of the entrance of the property on the driveway, so the curb will be. We will do the work on the curbs just to tie everything together. Victoria is a bit different because there's no driveway, so there's only a pathway on one side as well. So there will be obviously some work to do just to make sure that people can access the pathway on the other side. But yeah, it's just a different design. But we could look at, like I mentioned before, instead to have this buffer zone, maybe just to bring it closer, or if you want to actually use this opportunity maybe to utilize the space. If you have a couple of benches, we were talking with Sarah as well, maybe like to bring the community together, doing an event with some kids to do some painting, maybe on the road, I don't know. There's opportunities here just for us as well to be involved and make it pretty. Because I do feel like it could be better. Right.
So the pedestrian gateways are what?
Yeah, so that's the middle parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a solid gray kind of shape. But yeah, that will be the pedestrian, and it will be fences on both sides. And I check as well, we can put some art if you want on the fences on each way, but nothing within the crossing itself, just to make sure we've got visibility. But again, an opportunity to maybe bring school together to do a bit of art and make it pretty.
Something there to avoid graffiti. If some art goes on there, great, but if it's not, it'll be good to have it so that you can see through it rather than have forms or whatever that someone can go and tag.
I know, I'm just
think it's all smart. Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It's all smart.
Question, I wonder if we could just go back one. It's Robin. Yeah, Hannes, we've got a road closure that's quite a long way from the crossing there. And I'm just interested in your view from a roading perspective. So that obviously stops the residents from using that part of the road for parking. And do you see that as going to be an issue, having that section of road that is essentially closed but still sealed and unmade?
And supplementary to that, Johannes, how do you service and maintain the curbing if you have to do some serious construction, replacing that curbing with that area there? How permanent is that barrier?
You will have access from both sides of the barrier. So if
Vehicle access?
yes, there will be access if required. For us as well, for the signal team to come and do some work on the crossing itself, if needed. We kind of need an access as well, so they will be enough for a car to go through for sure, a little truck. As mentioned, there is possibility to bring it closer to the crossing, allowing people to park. If you've got a service who's going to do the U-turn, which is quite big, it might be hard as well for them to do a nice U-turn, but it's possibilities.
They wouldn't even really park there.
No,
No.
because there's no houses.
Yeah, they're like the two houses on each side. There's never cars.
But it's a good front as well, if needed.
If I can comment on that, I believe that offset is because of the topography there. It does go up, and I think it's a more practical area to turn around. If you go further closer to the railway, it might be more of a problem to turn around there. And then, like I said, I think in terms of maintenance, we would be able to get past there.
That is either side of the road, though, past the closure. That is someone's property. It's not KiwiRail land, is it? So, I mean,
The space between the barrier and the level crossing.
yeah, I mean, at some point, someone who owns that land might have thought, oh, I could have another driveway and build a house here or something. Is
It's
that?
the big front sections, like they've got huge.
It's a big, the angle up to that and the drop off to the sides down to those properties. I don't think you'd be putting a driveway there.
The left one though, the right, that one's.
The right-hand side.
The left one's real bad. You couldn't put a driveway, but that one there's not a massive drop, I don't think.
On the right-hand side, I don't.
Yeah, I think
Oh, okay.
they're very similar.
I just wonder if people might feel their property rights have been infringed in some way.
You have in the legislation, there is a link which was changed, I think, quite a few years ago now, that restricts driveway entrances being established within a certain distance from railway lines. That distance never used to exist. In fact, was quite low when the railway line was put in. But today it's different. What is that distance? Is that and does it equate to the distance you said there?
I could look at I just need to take the distance that we have, but I think it's within 30.
About 30 or 40 meters.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah,
40 is the end to Fisher Place.
so you couldn't now put in another driveway 30 metres within 30 metres of a rail crossing. You can't do it.
Correct, yeah.
It's just the width of that section.
I need to measure it, yeah. Sorry.
I think also that, given though that barrier is there, it's not impossible to remove it. If we choose to in the future, you would be able, it's not like the other one where there's a new Gurgen channel and everything.
That will be only line marking and the sign that shows you.
And I would probably say that it would be unlikely, I would think that it would be unlikely just due to the gradients there.
Yeah. So the previous roads crossing, we've got the good graphic of what that actual closure looks like. That's identical on this location?
Pretty much, yes. Sorry,
It's a bit of an ugly picture, isn't it?
it's just the 3D model,
Yeah.
the way that it works. The crossing will be perpendicular to the rail, so
It's a bit of an angle.
it would be on an angle like that
Yeah.
because of the road, the way that the road is. But yeah, it would be the same fences and open gates. So the crossing itself will be similar. It's just the definition on the curbs.
So we could just come up with some ideas of what we could use that space for. If we
Yeah,
wanted
well,
to do
I'm
something.
just wondering, so the distance from that barrier to where the new pedestrian crossing is going to go in, I'm thinking back to Road Street. Why is it so different?
Do you want to look, should we look at Road Street for a minute? Do you mean because why the big distance here was quite close to the road?
Roads is very close.
The driveway.
Yeah. So this one, you moved it up forward because there is no driveway.
Yeah.
And you don't want a driveway.
Well,
You-
it's, I mean,
We can't do.
like I say, we're open to suggestion, and this is the way that I think the person who did the design say, well, there's no driveway, we just put it in here. That's it.
And maybe the ease of turning, as you were saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
The
but
width-
it doesn't have to be that way. It can be closer.
Yeah.
Or you could choose to use that space for
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Could, especially from the western side, it could be an area that people could, I guess, they could park in behind that sign if they want to walk into town from there. I guess, I don't know.
You still got
Just the back of
stormwater.
his-
You still got stormwater under there. And they're through there, haven't you?
There's water assets.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, so there's water race to storm, so there is a need to continue maintenance work in that space.
Most of the work is usually done from the railway line because it is an open drain at the moment.
Yeah.
With probably the exception of cleaning out that culvert and so on.
Okay, so you've got still got to have access for maintenance work. So whether the sign is easily moved and put back
I think also
or a little closer.
with the location of that chevron, people will likely turn around at Fisher Place. They won't, if it's further up, there's a risk that they go to the end and then need to turn around, which would not be an easy turnaround.
Yeah. I think we're just assuming that you guys are going to be talking to you guys. We're engineers. Whatever Carterton, whatever the operational team think is necessary for maintenance purposes.
Do that.
Will be factored in and council will sort of look for that assurance. And if there is a space generated in there, of course, there'll be ideas about how that might or might not be utilised, given how big it is.
And if there's anything that comes to mind before the date that we're going to work on, we're happy to help within the closure, to use our contractor to, if it's just to put a couple of benches or whatever along the road, or you could just help out to have the access because we'll be there anyway. So
Angle parking for train spots.
Great viewing platform with a steam train on the deck of the system.
That'd be a good place for kids to race their go-karts down that little hill.
So you can't get track.
Yeah.
You see?
Options are some Carterton area at the end. Yeah, with jumps. You go to Kent Street with that.
Oh, with the kids.
You mentioned, 'cause there is, pedestrian or footpaths on both sides leading to,
From High Street side this.
from High Street, from this side looking the way that you've got it. But there is a trail that goes off along
Railway line.
the railway. I'm just, you're going to allow the right-hand side footpath to be shaped so that people can move into wherever you put the crossing, the actual pedestrian crossing. Can you shape the other side as well so people can go off to the right and not have that blocked off?
Yeah.
Onto the walkway.
Yeah,
I
so
guess-
they can utilise the walkway.
Just to move that up a bit, I think where are you at with the design right now? Is the design being produced as a final? Can we see it?
All right, yeah. I got the drawing that I can share with you.
Yeah,
because
because we all know it's going to be closed and everyone's cool with it. Yeah, it's happening. But I think what's interesting, people's thinking right now is what does the actual design look like? That tells us one thing. Okay, the distance from the sign to the railway line is a long way. And assuming at the other end, it's somewhat different, but I can't tell.
Yeah.
So having a design pick of that would enable councillors to reassure themselves that access to that trailway, the spaces, and the access for maintenance purposes, distances will give them a better understanding. I think that might be useful if we could see that design.
we could share the design with you. And take some close out. I think we wanted to give you a high level of how it would look, but we can give you a close out as well because we can write next to each side of the crossing. And then, yeah, definitely. Great.
Yeah, because if we're interested, certainly the community.
Yeah, that's great.
So on the other side of Victoria
Yes.
Street, it's actually two pathway, or is it just a curve?
So there's a footpath on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
But there's no footpath on the right-hand side, but there is an actual line path that has a walkway all the way alongside the railway line, down quite a way away from the railway line, linking Victoria with Pembroke. It's nicely planted, and I think even KiwiRail has spent money along there planting it out. And so forth.
Beautiful. It's one of their projects.
It's feeding very close to the railway line, though. It's a bit dodgy to get on it.
Yeah,
At this point,
At the very, at that.
at this point it does, and that's kind of what the reason I'm asking about.
I don't know if the design is actually to close the access because it would be too close.
I wouldn't suggest that. That's not a good idea.
You're not upset your good relationships.
Do not close that access.
We probably
We'll have
don't
a
know.
drive.
Yeah.
We'll have a drive as well.
Well, you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. We'll go and check it out and we'll
Yeah,
share the
yeah.
design and
Take some photos.
we hear you and I'm sure that won't be a problem.
great, thank you.
Any other? So just a snapshot on, so that's closure Victoria Street is closure 15th September. Just can we go, sorry, Robin, we got a bit of time. Yeah, can we go back to Road Street? Just a couple of quick questions here. So I'm just thinking Road Street closure is on 17th of November. Kent Street full completion is when?
Kent Street is finished.
So it's the winter barrier answer.
Not until the beginning of, so they're in. I'm right, aren't I? Kent Street, all of the civil works is complete,
So
and it's just about turning on the
Signal,
signalling. Yeah,
which won't happen
So-
until
so
2027.
yeah.
I thought the barriers.
they're in, but someone else has to help me here. Are they?
It's been blind.
So if I just add the signalling which is attached to the barrier arms, I understand will be done right at the end because that signalling is It's a one programming piece where everything goes live at the same time.
Thank you, that's right. So, so the equipment's in, but they're not,
The barrier arms not in.
am I right or not?
There's a photo of Kent Street.
Yeah, there is.
I know, I feel like I was there.
Barrier arms,
Kent's-
no, they're not on Kent Street, no.
There's no barrier arms. There's no barrier arms anywhere. There's no barrier arms on,
The Taronga Road either.
Okay,
So all the site work's been done. The foundations are there, the bolts are in the, sticking out of the ground, but there's no barrier.
We were originally told that the barriers were going up once that final
Yes.
cabling was done in twenty
then
twenty-seven.
that will be, that's exactly.
That was kind of they were doing all the crossings and
Okay.
things first, and the barrier arms were literally the last things to go in
All right.
from memory.
Beg your pardon, that'll be
What we
my
were told.
error, and I will just confirm that.
So the barrier arms go in 2027 when all the signalling.
There's probably a risk about putting them in early and them not operating, you know, so perhaps that's a.
Next week, yeah. Okay, so the question I've got in my head is, Road Street shuts on the 17th. Kent Street's still open. We've got some questions around the ramping of that. Ramping of the road.
Yep.
At the point that Road Street is closed, there'll be more traffic on Kent Street.
Okay.
The barrier arms won't be in. And that ramping, that sharp ramping won't have been addressed, so may not have been addressed by 17th of November. Can we just have a look at that timeline and the traffic impact? Because there will be an increase in traffic on Kent the moment roads is closed.
Okay. Got that.
Can I add a
And the same for Belvedere, the traffic will increase there, so.
Can I add a question? If the barrier arms are going in 2027, I presume it's another road closure. Can we just have an indication as to how long that road closure will be?
Indeed.
Because we'll need to be able to communicate that if it's going to be a reasonable period of time.
Yeah. So it might well be that in the comms plan, just forewarn people that this isn't the end.
Yep.
To say that it's all over, these sites have been completed. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily accurate.
Yeah.
They will say, what the hell, why didn't they do that then? So if you do the forewarning.
Yep.
We alleviate issues, yeah. That'd be really great.
Good.
Sorry for dragging that out, but.
That's good.
Is there anything else?
Thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yes. Excellent.
Just before you go, like the other day, they had, after the weekend, they cancelled a passenger train, it was because of rust on the rail line. And I thought,
Don't worry, Steve, I've already put in our way.
someone from railways must know the answer to that.
You're an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. I know that if you skim the tracks and you take even a millimetre, you reduce the level of hardening and you change the surface structure. So my questions about rusting are, why is rusting an issue? That's nothing to do with
I'm
these.
so safe to get into the middle of this. I could say something and
Nothing to do with these.
I'm not a safe pair of hands here.
It's not what you're here for, but
I'm certainly aware of it. I'm aware of it and I've seen the, you know, I know that it's a thing, but
It's
you
just,
know,
yeah,
it's danger.
there's worry that's just signaling after 48 hours without wind, that's one signal that does not trigger any alarm on the level crossing, therefore create a crash or it's I wish I could do something about it, but
People have suggested sending a locomotive down first.
Yeah.
simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that. We are working towards changing that after a 48-hour project to make it to the top to make it happen. But yeah, definitely we understand, and it's frustrating for us as well because we don't want to reopen with times with restrictions.
I'll let you fight that battle.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.